Do you worry about getting Sherlocked by OpenAI or Anthropic?
100%, and I think it is the best hygiene for an application layer company to have. Just assume that they're just going to directly go into your vertical. Just no matter what. Just assume that they're going to. How would you defend against that, and on what time scale?
Welcome to Access, the tech industry's inside conversation. I'm Ellis Hamburger here with my co-host Alex Heath. What's going on, my friend?
Just hanging in there. We are fighting sickness in the Heath household, as are many people I know right now. But I'm hanging in there. The throat's doing okay today.
We taking wellness formula. We taking vitamin C. You on some of that Erewhon shit? What do we got?
I'm a juice guy. I do a lot of clean, simple juices, smoothies.
Well, but what juice? The juice matters. What do we got? Ginger,
turmeric.
turmeric.
This time of year is orange, ginger, turmeric, apple, pineapple, a little cayenne. I like a spice. I like where you just shiver, when you take the shot. That's my favorite kind of a juice shot.
Shock those cells into action.
Yeah. So
Good.
Yeah. What about you?
I am also dealing with sickness, as I am in every episode.
Yeah.
With a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old that put everything in their mouth, there's only so much one can do. You could argue that tech should be doing more to solve the real problems.
You could.
Parents be suffering, right? And I'm actually pretty happy I did find a technological cure for one of my ailments. I get especially bad hangovers. And this new Z-Biotics stuff I've been taking does appear to work, or it's a particularly strong placebo effect.
Chill. They're not a sponsor yet. Chill.
Okay, well, we'll get them on. I even have like a hand symbol I do. You won't see this on the audio, but I go Z-Biotics.
God damn it, Ellis. You can't be giving away this kind of quality brand affinity.
Or we can send them the clip and say, look, we have an authentic user here.
That's
which
true.
Means
I'm also
the
a
audience consideration will be higher for the product.
I've used it as well, and it does work. I will attest to that. Yeah.
And you do go out a lot.
I do. I'm trying to less and less with the new media company stuff. Just don't have the energy anymore. But I am going out tonight, co-hosting a fun tech and media dinner at Anajuk Thai in LA, which I consider to be one of the best restaurants in Los Angeles. And you are not coming because you declined. So that's lame of you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as much of like a hustler networker as you. I keep my dates with old friends. I don't just, say yes to whoever has the most Twitter followers,
That's fair. That's fair.
There are some hot guests on the wait list. There are some hot guests on the guest list. I'll give you that.
Did you see this Apple CEO thing? Tim Apple is stepping down or is going to step down.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
I don't know if this is real, but I don't know. I kind of feel like it probably is. It says like maybe next year.
I mean, it's just a matter of time, right? I feel like in all of the keynotes, he says his good morning and has been handing the reins, I feel like, kind of more and more over the years. Or is that just me?
I think that's right.
Can somebody crunch the numbers on that?
Well, the last time he addressed this, I found out, was with in a very hard-hitting interview with Dua Lipa in 2023, where he said he couldn't envision his life not being at Apple. But that was 2 years ago. A lot has changed. He's getting up there. I mean, he still looks swaggy. There was a photo of him recently with some pretty rare Nikes. I mean, he's on the board of Nike, so I assume he's got the connects, but looking pretty fresh. Definitely is working out, definitely is on juice cleansing, all that. So who knows? But, he's still getting up there in age, and Apple's chair of the board just turned 75, I read. So I guess it's time to kind of change out the guard.
I would be more skeptical in these reports if he was the usual CEO megalomaniac, but he has always seemed, despite his 4 a.m. wake-ups and intensity, he's always seemed like a normal person, I guess, to some extent.
I've heard he likes to party. You'll see him at Coachella. He goes to the after parties. He's definitely got a crowd, but I think he's more low key than some of the other execs. He's not in the octagon like Zuck.
Yeah. Long story short, I don't read him as the type of person who is like at this stage of life primarily fueled by like babes and legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the other CEOs
I
that
would say,
we
well,
deal with.
dudes in legacy. But
Dudes at
yeah,
legacy, yes.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
I think he's obsessed with shareholder value. Clearly, considering he's added like 4 trillion in market cap to Apple since he took over. But when I was reading this, I was thinking about, man, do you remember at the time when he was named CEO, how there were so many articles saying Apple is doomed. Apple will never recover from Steve Jobs' sudden death. And Cook really didn't have many believers. And this was before a lot of products that, are very successful for Apple now. But man, it's just wild to see how much he proved everyone wrong over the last, decade plus.
I mean, with a culture as strong as theirs and the pressure, the incredibly high bar for talent, working inside of a spaceship, I think it makes a lot of sense that the power diminished far more slowly than it might at any other company that
Yeah.
replaced their founder, ex-founder, CEO, who's one of the most famous, people ever in this industry. With that said, I mean, I do believe that there was a market shift toward a growth and extraction period. I mean, the number of iPhone models, the number of MacBook models, people in our industry love to talk about Steve turning in his grave. But I mean,
Well, he used to
have
say he would famously say you could fit all of Apple's products on a table, right? And now you go into the Apple store and it's rows and rows of different products.
right. And so I think while they were successful in terms of influence and financially before, I think you could argue things have shifted a bit more toward the financial side. But then again, it also coincides with a period in which, even if Steve were here, I mean, the number of things added to phones each year has just gone down, and that's just a natural thing, right?
Yeah.
I think one thing we could have said for Steve, though, is that I'm not sure he would have been in a rush to get the Vision Pro out the door. Like, he had such good taste and knowledge of the industry and what was going on that he was going to launch something as soon as he was ready to do it, as soon as he could be confident that it was good. And so I think, some decisions like that do at the end of the day come back to Tim, or even the Apple Intelligence botched launch. Obviously, Steve had his fair share of drama, but I think you could argue that Apple has kind of not been quite as good at navigating culture since then.
I don't know, man. The pouch they just did.
Yeah, the Issey Miyake pouches, it is pretty sick.
You thought that was sick. I was going to say that's something that seems right up your alley. I could see you rocking that at Maru.
I mean, I can't decide on what color, so.
Oh, you haven't decided on the color, but
Can't
you're going to
decide
get
on
one.
the color
Is that
yet.
a Christmas gift I should get you?
Do co-hosts get each other Christmas gifts?
I don't know. We can do that.
I'll get you a new fuzzy thing for the end of your mic.
It's very pointy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fun to think about who could be the CEO of Apple, but it sounds like they've already decided it's going to be John Ternus, who's the head of hardware. I think he's like 55, around the same age that Cook was when he took the job. And, would it be cool for them to have kind of a wild card younger CEO that harkens back to the more design forward sensibility of Jobs and Ive? Yeah, that's not the direction they're going to go as one of the most important companies in the world. Too many shareholders to take care of.
That's the thing, right? It's like, how much can actually change? This is one of the superpowers of being a founder, and why I love working with them is that they do have this crazy power to think, bet long term. A lot of times they very literally have the power with their super voting shares in order to make sure that no one else even has control or can boot them out of the CEO seat. But that is one of those cool things. And once the founder leaves, you can kind of never get that power back again. I think if you look at, a public company CEO like Brian Chesky that's been able to help them navigate some market downturns, things probably would have gone differently if that wasn't the founder CEO.
Man, I bet that founder speech works so well for you when you're having an initial client review, right? You just get them to re-up major with that. You have all the power.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it does. I'm
Yeah.
booked through March.
Pretty much. Meaning that company, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly. Also, just wanted to let everyone know that we are off next week for Thanksgiving. Ellis, do you have plans to gorge yourself or fly to Middle America?
As long as we don't call it housekeeping, I'm fine with whatever. That's like my pet peeve with newsletters and podcasts. So
A
if we can
note.
ban that. We need a ban word list.
Yeah, a scheduling note. How about that? Yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to do much. I'm going to eat Chinese food, and we're hunkering down here in LA. What about you?
We've got a McCall's order queued up, a local wonderful butcher, and yeah, some football.
Okay, well, it sounds like I'm coming over. There, that's settled. This other big thing that kind of came in under the radar, I was actually surprised. There was no pomp and circumstance about it. They didn't do a big press conference. They just let it out. Was ChatGPT added group chats as a beta thing, and I think a few countries, if you're in New Zealand, a couple other places. It's always New Zealand where they test this stuff first. And basically you can add someone that you connect with on ChatGPT into a group chat and add your all's ChatGPTs, and the examples are, planning a trip, stuff like that. But I'm super fascinated by this, mainly because I'm actually pretty familiar with the people they hired to build this, and they're all ex-Meta Instagram people. And my understanding, this was a relatively fast project, and more to come on this front in terms of ChatGPT becoming a social network, which feels pretty big.
Yeah. I think there are a few angles here. One of them that I continue to appreciate about OpenAI is just the pace. They have a lot of great talent, a lot of great designers, and they just ship. And it reminds me of the old Facebook days where I would be at their office in Astor Place in New York, and I would be in a room talking to some product manager, and then I would get an email from another person at Facebook about how I should come to the office to talk about the other new product. And I'm like, I'm already here.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like OpenAI has something every week or two.
Yeah.
What I like about this, though, is that on the one hand, we've talked about this interesting comparison before between Meta and OpenAI, especially with Sora and the Vibes app. But I think this is another example where a lot of times Meta appears to be a bit more driven by trends and just trying to make sure that they have a bet on every number. But I do see this as an example where OpenAI is being driven by the behavior. I'm not sure if they talked about this in the blog post, but I do think people are sharing ChatGPT links a lot. And if this is just a way for someone else who's already an existing user to jump in, you can call it whatever you want. And we're taking on social networks, we're taking on group chat or messaging or whatever. But I think we all know that in consumer technology, making an existing behavior, whether it's a hashtag or the other features that users have invented over the years, making that stuff frictionless is a surefire way to succeed.
Yeah, Chloe and I share chat threads all the time, and it's not a great experience right now. I would actually love for it to be integrated in the product. Not in it. The thing is, I don't want group chats. I don't want my old college buddies necessarily in my chat GPT, but your partner or good friend or someone you're planning a trip with, sure, that makes a lot of sense. A tricky balance I think they probably are having to walk though with this is they also expand to direct DMs, one-on-one, all that stuff. I think this is just the beginning of where this is going for them. Is there's this intimacy to what is in your chat GPT, and there's been a couple times where I look at someone's chat GPT and they kind of whoa, what are you doing, Chloe's even like that, don't look at my chat GPT. I just think there's this intimacy that people feel about it because you're using it for so many deeply personal things, and trying to separate that from a social experience when ChatGPT has been such a, single player mode product for, since the beginning, that seems like it could be tricky.
I mean, we need to make this a meme format. I look at my ChatGPT sidebar all the time and I'm just like, who the fuck am I?
Oh, man, that's rough.
Is there a way to cross post to Blue Sky and Threads now? I don't know what. Hootsuite or whatever still exists. Then after that, I have a question about if I should proceed after Battle 30 and Final Fantasy Tactics because I don't know, getting bored or whatever. And ChatGPT is just so good at answering questions like that. And it's the game's about to get epic. You should stay. Then I have the meaning of fighting windmills, which a client said to me in a meeting the other day. I'm like, what does that mean? Then I have what team in the NFL has missed the most fourth downs in a game? Because my Lions missed 5 the other day. Then right below it, I have, what is the origin of the term having a crush? And then last but not least, I was looking for a quote from Palmer Luckey. So yeah, that's my life in a nutshell right there.
Mine is just like random home stuff, car buying stuff, work stuff. It's just, yeah. I mean, there's just so much
You got to be
personal
more
stuff in here.
specific than that, Alex.
Workout class tax deduction. That was one I tried the other day. I'm trying to do everything I can, man, as a solo entrepreneur.
Now that you're on the outside, solopreneur.
It said no. It said consult your CPA, but probably not a good idea. So I'm not going to do that. We need tax AI, but we have legal AI on the show today. Was that a good transition?
That's the transition I was going to make. You complete my sentences, Alex.
Oh man,
we're not even at episode 20 yet, and already.
Yeah, so we have Winston Weinberg, the CEO of Harvey, who graciously stepped in. We teased this last week, but stepped in for Guillermo, the CEO of Vercel, who was going to do a live taping with us at Google Ventures the other week and couldn't. And so Winston was game, and we literally met him 5 minutes before we got on stage. And it was actually a great conversation. I was impressed by him. He said things that AI CEOs don't normally just directly answer, which was like, there was one thing where I said, do you think you're going to take away legal jobs? And he's like, probably. And also there's going to be hiring freezes. And there already are starting to be hiring freezes in law firms because of Harvey and because of other, legal AI stuff. So props to him for being honest and direct. And what did you make of the conversation?
Yeah, I liked him too. I wasn't super aware of what was going on, but now it's one of those recency bias things where I'm seeing Harvey everywhere now.
Yeah.
I like that he played ball with my trolling. I was like, I saw on your LinkedIn that you were a lawyer for 1 year.
Yeah.
Do you actually know what you're talking about? And he's just an honest guy, and he's got a sense of humor. I like how he talked about interviewing candidates inside of Google Docs using actual tests as opposed to just letting people chit chat about whatever they say they do. And so, yeah, definitely one of those founders who's kind of innovating on a lot of fronts. And I also want to give props to you and me for for ordering a bunch of being bold enough to order a bunch of oysters before we hosted this podcast event, which was probably ill-advised.
It was.
I loved it. It was our first trip together, and we had to celebrate somehow, right?
Yeah, and I love living on the edge with you. And I'm an oyster guy. I love oysters, and I so far, knock on wood, have not gotten sick from them. And that would have really sucked if it would have happened that day. But yeah, we were good.
I mean, had that happened, they would have been like, "What the fuck were you guys thinking?" And we're like, "Well, we're at Shack 15. We're at the Ferry Building. We had to go to the Hog Island and get some oysters. And what can one do?
We're new at this.
Fortunately, we were fine. So,
and I made my flight back to LA with the government shutdown and got home at a reasonable hour. It was a good day.
True travel pro. Well, shall we kick it to Winston?
Let's kick it. Support for this show comes from Mercury. Running a business is hard work. That's why Mercury makes managing your money as simple as can be, with banking, cards, spend management, invoicing, and more, all in one place. It's banking at its most intuitive. Visit Mercury.com to join over 200,000 entrepreneurs who use Mercury to simplify their finances. Mercury is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided through Choice Financial Group and Column NA members FDIC.
Support for this show comes from Figma. Good ideas can come from anywhere, but making them real can feel out of reach. Meet Figma Make, an AI-powered prompt-to-code tool that turns your ideas or your Figma designs into interactive, code-backed prototypes and apps in minutes. Whether you're a designer, product thinker, or founder, Figma Make helps you go from concept to something real, fast. And it all looks and feels just like your brand. Figma Make, a prompt-to-code tool for making ideas real. Try it now at figma.com/access. That's figma.com/access.
So without further ado, we're going to put you on the hot seat with the first question. Big thanks to Google Ventures for having us here. What's the worst advice Google Ventures has ever given you?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Or the best. It's up to you, Winston.
No, I think it could be both, Let's see. Worst advice. I'd say that there was definitely.
He's actually answered the question.
I'm actually going to answer the question. I'm serious. So I think that
God bless you, Winston.
Wow.
Yeah.
God bless.
But I think this is like a common VC worst advice problem. I think that there is a combination, and I don't think anyone's actually figured it out, ourselves included, of how much do you hire folks that have done the job before versus folks that have really high slope. And I actually don't think the startup community right now, like the application layer company, this is probably what I talk to most application layer company founders about, is it's very difficult to come up with which role is better for I've done this before and I've done this at scale versus we need to completely rethink this role. And so I'd say the worst and the best advice that I've gotten from all VCs is when to hire the person for scale, which a lot of the time I've got wrong, and I should have hired someone that's really good at scaling. And sometimes I've been right when I think you should bet on a junior person. So it depends. But I think that's been the best advice and stuff I've gotten wrong, and the worst advice too.
That was a much better answer than I expected from that question.
Thank you, Winston. We're going to like and subscribe to your channel too.
All right, great.
So tell us about Harvey.
Yeah.
For those who aren't familiar, the listeners out there around the world, what is it?
Yeah, so we're a legal AI platform, and we started basically building a productivity suite for lawyers at law firms. And what we've started now doing is selling that same productivity suite and tweaking it for large enterprises too, so for like Global 2000. And now we're making everything multiplayer. So what we're trying to do long term is basically transform the way that legal services and probably professional services, as in like adjacencies to legal, like tax, compliance, et cetera, are actually delivered, right? And we think that that's a combination of a platform that is in between how the professional services providers are using the platform and the Global 2000 or large enterprises or startups as well.
So how do the lawyer clients feel when you tell them that they're about to go multiplayer?
They're really
I know that's a term we use in tech, but
Yeah.
you have a different clientele, right?
And
than
are you
the
wearing a
average
suit
startup?
when you're doing this?
Yeah. So I definitely say collaboration. They're more excited about it than I think like anyone else. I mean, the law firms are incredibly excited about this because I think that this is another opportunity for them to basically show their differentiation, right? Like, there is a massive difference between how some law firms are adopting AI and others. And so when you say, hey, this platform is going to be collaborative, it really allows law firms to think about how are we going to change how we practice law and how are we going to use that to get more business, right? Get more business, A, or B, like strengthen the relationships between them and their current clients. One way to actually think about this is really what law firms have been doing for a long time is just doing RL on client relationships. So in other words, teaching junior associates how do you actually do fund formation for a certain type of private equity fund, right? And then you have that junior associate grow up to be a partner, right? And now they know how to do it, right? And so if there are ways to do that tech-enabled faster, you're gonna get clients that wanna work with you more and for longer. It becomes pretty sticky.
Also, those jobs go away?
So this is where I think those tasks go away. I don't think the job goes away. So one way I think about this is we are now actually a pretty large consumer of legal services, right, ourselves. Like we try to use Harvey for everything.
Is it because you're getting sued or what?
No, not yet, at least. Knock on wood.
You could be the first to sue yourself if you want.
Oh, yeah, that might be kind of hard. There's some problems with that. But as a user or a consumer of legal services, one thing that I struggle with is the delta between how much it costs for a junior associate to do a task that you could have done when you were in college versus the best M&A partner in the pharmaceutical industry or whatever industry on earth, right? And usually that junior associate bills like $1,000 an hour. And that partner, who is the best in the world at what they do, is $2,500 an hour or $3,000 an hour.
We need a new job.
We need a new job. Yeah. But that doesn't actually make sense to me, right? And so my gut in what ends up happening is the work that AI can't do, which there is a lot of work in legal that I don't think AI is going to be able to do, or at least anytime soon, access the data and a bunch of other things, client relationships. That work is going to be more valuable, and you could charge more for that. And then all of this other stuff is going to get automated and put into basically like fixed fee pricing.
Yes, you wrote something interesting in your Series D raise, just a quaint little $300 million. You wrote that centuries-old firms are experimenting with new business models that is like ancient history in tech terms. Like, this is a little different than bringing Slack to the CTO of your company or something like that. What is it like working with those types of customers and reaching them?
Yeah, I mean,
you told us behind the scenes they're not exactly on Twitter to be reached with.
Yeah,
your
sometimes they're
thought
not. Sometimes they actually like very much are. It really depends. It very much also differs from who the firm leadership is, basically. And so there are firms that I think are looking at this as, this is going to happen, this is going to transform our business. We should start thinking about two things. And these are the ones that I think are the most sophisticated. We should start thinking about, how does our business model change? Do we do fixed fee for certain things so we can get efficiency at scale, and then billable hour on top? Do we create SaaS products? I mean, even as extreme as that. The second thing that I think is much more interesting is, how do we focus on teaching people how to be really good partners? And I think the best thing that could happen to the industry is the industry is forced to 100% focus on how do you, like, time to partner, basically, and reducing time to partner as quickly as possible. And right now, the industry doesn't focus on that enough.
I'm not by no means a legal expert, but my understanding is that document review is where a lot of these law firms get the most billable hours. It generates a lot of their revenue. I could imagine, even if you come to them and say, hey, I've got this thing, it's going to save you a bunch of time, that's actually kind of destroying their margins in the near term. Do you have that problem where you're pitching and then they're like, well, this is great, but I also love billing for all these hours?
Yeah, I think we had that problem in the beginning. So that was very, very difficult in like early 2023, probably difficult throughout early 2024. And then it got to the point where they just felt that this was inevitable, right? In other words, like, AI is going to get adopted by either our competitors, right? And so that's really important. And so this is just something that we need to do in order to compete. And then more importantly, I think, it's getting adopted by our clients. Like, our clients are just going to use these things ourselves, right? Themselves. And so I think that point, the firms are now actually taking this very seriously and thinking about how they can transform around that reality. Like, it has become a reality. It wasn't in 2023, and I think for a vast amount of 2024, it wasn't either.
Yeah, I guess you're in a good position as the arms dealer. You'd be like, well, I'll just go to the law firm next door and they'll buy it.
I mean, I think like they are all, it's highly competitive, right? But this has already been happening where this was happening way before Gen AI, where you had these like rainmaker partners that were basically, they were like NBA players, like that level of salary, right? And so you already had kind of this pyramid system starting to go like this, right? And the top partners being able to grab as much business and market share as possible.
Support for this show comes from Mercury. When I decided to start my own media business, I picked Mercury as my banking solution. I was impressed with how easy it was to set up an account. The interface is super clean and minimal too, which I always appreciate. I like that I can use Mercury to not only accept payments, but also send invoices all in one place. It doesn't matter what kind of business you're running, Mercury is made to flex with you and your business. Whether you're a funded tech startup and looking for a nice way to pay contractors, or an agency that needs to invoice customers and keep them current, or an e-commerce brand that needs to stay on top of cash flow and access capital, Mercury can be tailored to help your business perform at its highest level. Visit Mercury.com to join over 200,000 entrepreneurs who use Mercury to simplify their finances. Mercury is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided through Choice Financial Group and Column NA members FDIC.
Support for this show comes from Figma. Most of our listeners already know Figma as a collaborative design platform, where teams come together to turn ideas into the world's best digital apps, websites, and experiences. It's great for collaborating, getting on the same page, and offering feedback. But for those out there who want to build and actually make something, Figma has something for you now too. I'm talking about Figma Make, an AI-powered prompt-to-code tool that helps anyone turn an idea into something real fast. Figma Make is a different kind of vibe coding tool. With just a few prompts, you can build a code-backed prototype or app that anyone can explore, iterate on, and share. And it's all connected to Figma, so you can start from scratch or from your design file. Figma Make is made for designers, product managers, and builders who want to move fast and explore more ideas. Try it now and see how quickly you can make your ideas real with Figma Make. Just visit figma.com/access. That's FIGMA.com/access.
So correct me if I'm wrong, are you a first-time founder?
I am.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you were an associate for 1 year at a law firm.
Yes.
Is that right?
It
okay,
is, yeah.
so how do you convince all of these customers that you know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Do you know what you're talking
Do
about?
I know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I mean, great question. I mean, in the beginning, it was you just have to spend so much time with them, and you speak. I do think it is helpful coming from the domain, right? Like, just being able to speak their language and understanding, like even going through law school is a little bit of a process, right? And we work with a lot of law schools right now, actually. And there is some sort of universal bond that you get just through going through law school, even if you haven't practiced for a very long time. And that kind of makes you more familiar and you can get in there. And then over time, I think you just build trust, right? Like you sign a bunch of firms, they really love the product, the users start reaching out to you, you start to create, a community and ecosystem, and you can build that. But I still get, there are so many comments on the internet about baby lawyer, like they call me a baby lawyer. So that definitely exists.
Do you send them the valuation in response to that?
I don't know if that would make me feel more or less of a baby lawyer. My point here is I think you have to be very humble and go to them and say, I understand some of this industry. I at least have the bones of this industry in me, but you have a lot more experience than I do. And I think at this point now, the thing that I can actually help them with is market data, right? So we have enough customers, both on the corporate side and the law firm side, that I at least know how the market is thinking about these things, including their clients, right? And so that builds tons and tons of trust.
You're only 3 years old as a company, right?
Yeah.
But do you have any data on what employment hiring looks like at the firms you work with? Do they hire less? Do they hire more?
Yeah, we don't have data on that yet, and I don't think there has been a significant impact on hiring yet.
Do you think there will be?
My gut is there will be some hiring freezes. So I don't think that it will be cutting. It'll be some potential hiring freezes as they figure it out. I'm not sure if that'll be more on the law firm side or the in-house corporate side. I've definitely seen some of that on the corporate side. I've seen the reverse. I've seen corporates say, actually what we're going to do is hire more people in-house, right? And send less work to outside counsel. So it really depends by organization.
I love when the CEO actually answers the question. We ask AICOs that kind of question all the time, and it's very pie in the sky. Like, I love that you just answered it.
I mean, I think we'll just see. The one comment I will have for legal work is, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, there were basically like no international mergers, right? So when you did a merger, it was normally like pretty local. There probably weren't that many documents in the data room, et cetera. Fast forward now, like how many law firms do you think were involved and how many geographies were involved in the Microsoft Activision merger?
Oh, God.
I mean, just like hundreds of different parties.
A lot of, beak wetting for that.
How many documents do you think were in that, right? And so now let's fast forward and say that those two companies were going to merge in 10 years, right? What do the data rooms look like and how complex is that merge then? Right? And so I think one thing that people don't think about with legal and professional services is most of it is actually cyclical with the economy. So there's bankruptcy and litigation, which is counter-cyclical, but most of it is cyclical, which means as things get more complex and GDP goes up, you need more lawyers to support it, right? And so we'll see. Like,
Don't you need it when it goes down too? Isn't
Yes.
it both? You kind of win.
That's for bankruptcy and litigation.
You're going to be good no matter what, basically.
Yeah, but I think that most law firms' revenue, the consistent revenue, comes from the transactional side, which does parallel the economy.
I know another angle of looking at teams and how they're changing. You talked about reducing burnout.
Yeah.
I know that's a very big debate right now, whether you call it Jevons paradox or something else, that if you make a tool that makes people faster, they'll just do more work. I know the legal world is definitely known for its intense demands. How is it going to reduce burnout? Is it just going to mean people do more work, or how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so this is the thing I think I'm most excited for, and it's because I was a junior associate. I work, when I was a junior associate, maybe I worked, 70 hours a week, 60 hours, something like that. I work much more than that now. I'm way less burned out. It's like not even close. And so my point with this is I do not think that in 10 years lawyers are going to do less work. They'll work exactly the same hours. Like, I think that is completely nonsense. Like, that's not what's going to happen. But if they are doing work that they enjoy significantly more, they won't be as burnout. Like, the main reason you have so much burnout in a lot of these professions is not just the hours, it's what you're doing.
It's monotonous.
Yeah, it's monotonous. That's like mostly what it is. And that's why you see, in law school, a lot of law schools, you work just as hard as you do in big law. You don't burn out in law school, though. And it's because it's much more exciting. And you're learning new things, and you're trying new things. And in a lot of law firms, it depends which law firm, it depends who your mentors are, you're doing things that are incredibly monotonous, right? And you do that as a discipline mechanism because at some point in 10 years, you're maybe going to go to trial, right? And if you can go to trial in 3 years or something like that, I don't think you'll get as much burned out. You'll still work 60, 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week.
So AI helps us just work more, but feel better about it?
Yes. No, I think that's right. I work the same, but
Okay.
feel better about the work that we're doing.
Okay.
I strongly believe that's what will happen, yeah.
So tell us more about the initiative with colleges,
Yeah.
trying to get in early with the students. I have a very fond memory of getting my first MacBook that came with an iPod. Do you remember that? When it was for like 18-year-olds going to college for the first time, and then you become an Apple user for life, right?
Yeah.
Is that the idea here?
Whoa. Yeah. Well, aren't you happy that you got that computer?
Oh, sure.
So there you go.
I'm not saying it's a bad strategy.
Yeah. We partner with a lot of law schools. I think that there's a couple of reasons why we're doing that. One is everyone was using ChatGPT. Like, let's just be honest. Like, even if the law schools ban these things, like, they're still using ChatGPT on the side. So students are going to learn how to use AI. Like, they're going to figure it out, whether the school bans it or doesn't
You're
ban
saying
it.
law schools clearly is rampant.
Yeah, it's just like
What you need is me.
My point here is they're going to use AI tools, right? And I think there were a lot of law schools in the beginning that were banning these tools and things like that. And basically, we decided to partner with them and say, here's a tool that's like much more fitted, right? And it hallucinates significantly less. It has legal data, things like that, right? And yes, part of the strategy is that they use that and they understand how to use it, and then they get to a firm and they're used to using it, or they get to a corporate or something like that. But I also think it's just a really good experience to experiment with the product, because what you do in law school is very different than what you do in practice. And one thing that I really am interested in building is if you have AI systems that can actually do a lot of work from start to finish, you could turn them into training modules really fast. And then you have basically like personalized law school training programs. And that would be really interesting to me. And you could think of the same thing for associates too.
I know there's been some skepticism online about the company and its capabilities. What have you learned from that experience, even if it's just responding?
Oh yeah,
to
this was the
skepticism?
Reddit thing or something, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Here's my retention numbers. Feast on this."
Piece on this. Yeah, I mean, that was maybe a good strategy, but then I also realized that our customer base probably isn't totally sure what the retention numbers mean. So
Or it's like, what is Reddit?
Yeah. It is crazy how much perception of these things can kind of like spread. And I am not the most vocal founder, and I think that it's really important to make sure that you are like actually, as the founder, going out and telling your story and talking. No, this is going to work well for you, and going out there and saying the narrative for you, and just being direct about like what the statistics are, what's product usage look like, where are the problems, where have you made mistakes. If you don't do that, someone's going to do it for you. And that's like the main thing that I've learned.
I mean, as we're seeing in all sorts of realms, whether it's political or otherwise, I feel like people would so much rather you just be honest, and if you make a mistake, apologize, than try
100%.
and pretend that everything's perfect and hunky-dory and this and that.
And nothing is perfect. I mean, there's no way, like, any of these startups that are growing this fast. I mean, hey, if someone has this magically down and they don't feel like their company is at all times like going up and down and up and down, and they're growing as fast as we are, like, congrats to them. They're the best in the world, and that's awesome. It's really hard, right? And you do, like, we have made some product mistakes. I think in like 2023, we had some product mistakes. Our usage is incredible now. And I probably should have been a little bit more honest about some of the mistakes we made in the earlier years, instead of kind of just being like, our usage is amazing right now, right?
Yeah, it is funny. It's a blessing and a curse to have users that love you so deeply. And I speak from that from personal experience from the browser company years. You know, you build such a strong relationship with people, and when you make a decision this way or the other, all of a sudden the expectations are a lot different because you've been so transparent this whole time. So it definitely can bite you as well.
Yeah, the nice thing is like it's a plus and a negative where all of our users are very loud, which is awesome because I think it makes it so that you kind of have like a short-term moat of just because you have hundreds and thousands of users and they're all being so loud with feedback, right? And it's just hard to like amass that amount of feedback from users. At the same time, sometimes it's more the negative feedback than the positive feedback. And so it can feel like the usage numbers aren't the same as like the feedback you're getting.
Yeah, I haven't got to ask this. I keep forgetting to ask someone, so you're gonna be the guy. Are you applying AI to all of the customer support, feedback requests, this and that? I wonder, that's got to be getting dramatically better as a product company, right? Just when you can get through all that stuff and it isn't just keyword tagging or something like that?
We do tons of it internally, like a massive amount internally, because one of the biggest problems is when you're shipping this quickly and you have enterprise clients have like extremely strict comms requirements of basically like how you can't just ship tons of things and not tell them about it. That is like they're gonna get upset. You have versioning and all these different things. And so we found that doing the internal stuff helps a lot, but the external still is mostly like in person and things like that.
Support for this show comes from Mercury. When you're building a business, you need banking that moves with you and helps you build momentum. As someone who just started a media company, trust me, this is super important. With Mercury, banking is so much more than a place to store your money. It's a platform that helps you push your business forward. I use Mercury every day, and I love how powerful but easy the platform is to use. It's fast and designed for how businesses actually work. From one place, you can send payments to contractors around the world, invoice clients and track what you're owed, and even manage team spend without extra tools. With a clear view of money coming in and going out, you can see precisely where you stand so you know what to do next. Whatever you want to do with your money, Mercury makes it feel effortless. Visit Mercury.com to join over 200,000 entrepreneurs like me who love Mercury. Mercury is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided through Choice Financial Group and Column N.A. members FDIC.
Support for this show comes from Figma. More often than not, product builders don't explore all the ideas they might want to. It's expensive, takes resources, special skill sets, and a lot of time to bring an idea to life. So we tend to pursue and build the safe thing, the options we know will work. But with Figma Make, a new prompt-to-code AI tool from Figma, you can explore those wild ideas. You can play out a hunch. And with just a few prompts, you can go from idea to a live code-backed prototype. No special skills needed. And because Figma Make is built on the Figma platform, you can continue to iterate with your team. You can copy things into Figma Design, bring the code to your favorite AI coding tools via the MCP server, or dig into the code. Figma Make is a different kind of vibe coding tool, built with craft and collaboration in mind. So stop talking about your wild product ideas and start building them in Figma Make. Try it now and see how quickly you can make your ideas real with Figma Make. Just visit figma.com/access. That's figma.com/access.
Rumor is you're working on a mobile app. Is it going to be Android first?
It is not going to be Android first.
Tell us about it, though. Tell us about the mobile strategy.
Yeah, great question. I already got the wrong answer. So the mobile strategy is actually pretty simple. A lot of partners, like the higher up, so our usage, actually 22% of our users is partners, which is quite high. But I want that to be higher than it is. And mobile is just where most partners live. Actually, mobile and tablet. So tablet is incredibly popular among professional service providers.
Not this one, but that.
Yeah, only that one.
Yeah.
No. And so it's basically, there's a lot of functionality that you can do that's really interesting. So I'll give you an example. Some of the things that we process, it's not like chat-based. It's basically, I want to like ask a bunch of questions over millions of documents. That can take like 10 minutes, right? Or a decent amount of time. And so if you can do something where you send that request, just like you'd be sending that request like an email to an associate to go do the task, and then Harvey does that task on the platform, and then you get an email back that says it's ready, and then you go on. Even that is like a massive, massive deal, just in terms of the communication and being able to send work.
You're probably getting sick of being asked about this, but rappers. So
Yeah.
you all are I think looked at as probably the preeminent example of a very good quote unquote wrapper company. That used to be derogatory.
Yeah,
I feel
now
like-
I'm not sure.
Now I feel like people have moved on from it. Rappers are hot. Like everyone's a rapper company and they're killing it. And so I'm wondering like what it was like going through that initial phase of like, oh my God, you're doing a rapper to now.
Yeah.
And what shifted? What changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the main thing that started to happen, at least for us, so one thing that happened internally, for sure, is almost like the vast majority of our enterprise clients have like enterprise GPT, like Chat GPT. They have it, or they have Anthropic, or they have something like that, and they still use us, right? And so I think that's partially what happened is a lot of the wrapper fear was it's just like a distribution problem. Like in other words, all these enterprises, because in the beginning, a lot of what enterprises did is they bought Azure instances and they made like Acme Corp chatbot, right? Like that's like what they did. They didn't actually buy from Anthropic or OpenAI. And so I think part of what happened is now that penetration is quite high and these apps are still very successful. And so I think that the Valiant investors and founders and everyone in the ecosystem discovered, wait, there are like moats that you can build here so far, right? And I feel very confident that like our largest indirect competitors are the large language model providers, like 100%. And I think you should constantly think about your company as that. Like they're way more of competition long term than anyone else.
Yeah, do you worry about getting Sherlocked by OpenAI or Anthropic?
100%, and I think it is the best hygiene for an application layer company to have. Like I think if you are thinking that, you are going to make some company bets that prepare you for that long term. It's going to make you maybe eat some short term gains, but it will help you long term. And I'll give you an example of this. As simple as we started our GTM strategy going to like the largest firms and the largest enterprises. The reason why is partially, I strongly believe that if these systems get better, a lot of the lower end legal work is going to get commoditized. So if you build something for that, it's much easier for ChatGPT to come in and just basically obliterate you, right? And so even simple things like that probably slowed down our revenue growth by a lot, right? But I think it's worth it because long term. And there's a lot more bets that we've made that are like that, but I think you just constantly have to have that mindset.
Is it a tricky balance though? Because I feel like you probably talk to people at the labs all the time.
Yes.
I mean, you're a revenue source for them through their APIs. How does that song and dance go?
Yeah, I mean,
You probably get previews of new models. Like, how do
we do, but
But then you're also like, oh, they may try to kill me one day.
yeah, there's two levels to this, I think. So level one, which hopefully everyone is constantly thinking about, is in order to get value capture, my platform has to be X amount better than whatever you can get from them, right? So that's number one. Hopefully everyone is thinking that way, long term. That's the easiest one, or easiest to think about. The second one is just assume that they're just going to directly go into your vertical. Just no matter what, just assume that they're going to. How would you defend against that and on what time scale, right? And you can think like, what are the advantages that they would have? What would they build? How would they get mass distribution? Like all of these different things. And if you're thinking about that stuff long term, you might be giving up ground to some like current competitors in the like startup space. But long term, you have like just a much bigger moat against I think what actually matters.
I like the way that you framed it as layers because I think there's more to it than we often think here in tech. I think as so many of us being, tech savvy and loving products and many engineers here, they're like, oh, if it's 5 to 7% better, I'm switching. But you forget that like when you use something like ChatGPT, even if it's a custom one, not only have they maybe never reached out to your company to explain exactly how it maps to your use cases, but the user interface itself is also in the end kind of generic, right?
Yes.
And so I actually think there are a lot of opportunities, even if it's the wrapper layer, to really like provide that solution, as it were, to the customer, the actual job to be done, which includes onboarding, which includes distribution, especially I would think for these companies that are not quite as tech savvy, right?
Oh, 100%. And the other problem for this is, like, even if you thought the best product ever was just ChatGPT with all the correct sources, which I don't think it is, but pretend that that's what you did, how do they get all of the correct context? Like, if you think about how difficult it is to get all of the context for an M&A, it is all over the place. And so you have to build systems that, A, in the first place, can actually pull that context, and then B, get the right answer. And the reality is, a lot of the reasoning of getting the right answer isn't something that the models just randomly will understand, because it's more like, in the past, we've agreed to these set of terms, and in the future we'll agree to other ones, right? So there's a lot of market data and all of these other things.
You told us before we got on that you don't want to get asked about AGI, so I'm not going to ask you about AGI.
Thanks.
But as someone who is building your business on top of these LLMs, and is obviously it very much matters to you and your company where they go, how they trend. What do you expect to happen over the next year or so? What are the gains you're expecting to see? What are you excited about that Harvey can build on?
I want tool use to get really good. That's like the most important thing for us. I think of most of the problems that we need to solve as the product problem is how do you build the surface area for every single complex like legal, tax, compliance use case. And then the AI problem is how do you orchestrate all of the tools together to get the right answer. The first part, I just don't need the models to get better to do. The second part, I do.
So I have another question about the future of these products. I know we often have best practices, when it comes to the way that products look or are designed. How are you thinking about that, making it both powerful but also accessible in a way?
Yeah.
Like a lot of these folks are not using the new Material Expressive from Google on their new phone with all the colors and bounce and juice. We love that stuff. But that could be pretty scary to some of your customers.
Yeah, so I think that one of the traditional problems with like B2B versus B2C is B2B has usually not allowed for that much creativity. And so creative folks sometimes like don't want to do those things, or they feel limited or like hamstrung. The reality is there aren't B2B companies anymore. There are AI companies. And because of that, I think customers are more willing to explore something different. And so you can be more creative with like, in a traditional industry where normally you'd have a UI that is very much like, it has to be this way, it has to be templated, et cetera. I think you can take more creative risk there because your customers are open to it.
So there's almost like a permission now with this step change.
100%. Yeah. Like everyone kind of has the energy of everything's gonna change, right? And because of that kind of like entropy, you can get folks to be more on board with wild ideas. And even if that wild idea is like adding a little bit of color to a legal tool.
Speaking of wild ideas, with a few minutes we have left, I hear you like to interview candidates inside of Google Docs. Is that true?
Shout out Google.
Somewhat. Yeah, I mean, very quick writing samples, like doing a written project back and forth is very, very helpful. And there's something about, I've definitely had folks that are very good at like presenting things, and then once they get to like writing it out and you guys are working on like very direct questions in this Google Doc, things like that, it can break down. And what I've found is if they are very good at, here's a problem set, whether I start with the document or they start with the document, comment in this, and then we just go live and start going back and forth, it actually is like a very good indicator of how well we'd work together.
It's more so just doing the work.
Correct.
I mean, I guess, like you already see a lot of that in engineering.
You do see this. And I think like one of the big problems with hiring in the other roles is there are folks that are really good at talking and they're just terrible at doing. And to me, what that's going to turn into is they ask for 1 billion one-on-one in strategy sessions. And so why not start the interview process async? No, I'm serious. Like do a lot of the meeting in person, but then figure out how you'd work together async, because I mostly work async, right? Like with the reports that I work best with, it's async, right? That's how everyone moves quickly. Otherwise, we're gonna have 17 strategy meetings to like do anything.
Is that the way because I imagine your headcount's exploding right now, right? Yep. You're growing like crazy. Is that how you make sense of all of this as you're scaling?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely a zero out Slack every like 20 minutes person. But I
think your valuation just went down.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not scaling. No, I actually, this is something I think you can scale much better. The reason, I mean, I'm sure there's a scale where you can't, but the reason I think this isn't as hard as people think it is if you are constantly paying attention to like most things that are going on at the company, all you're doing is going from yesterday to today. Like that's all the catch up that you have to do. And so it's very easy. You can read like the first 2 sentences and know exactly what's gonna come next, right? If what you do instead is you completely ignore parts of the business and then you come back in after a month, it's just context overload. Like it is impossible to get all of that information, and you basically have to rely on like very good direct reports, and they are very good, but you're gonna miss something, like you're going to. And so I try to do a decent amount of just like async reviewing and things like that.
Yeah, I know there's always a tendency with new founders to want to try and reinvent everything.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're telling yourself, no, I can't touch this?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I definitely argue with my chief people officer about a lot is I'm like, I should have more direct reports.
That's trendy now, right?
Yeah,
Jensen
it is. Yeah, and I think it's like it's just a delicate balance because there's what I find is this is kind of like the question you asked earlier, which was best and worst advice. There are problems at the company that are best served by scale, like disciplined scale. There are problems at the company that are best served by a Navy SEALs team, right? And figuring out what is the combination of both is super important. If you only do the scaling, you're just gonna lose. It's too slow. If you do only the Navy SEALs, once you get to a certain level of revenue, of folks, et cetera, it's just gonna be impossible to stay on top of, and you're gonna not be able to scale. So the thing I'm trying to balance constantly, and I haven't figured out the best answer to this, is how do you combine the scaled system with the Navy SEALs system? And I think you do need both. Like I strongly believe you need both.
Yeah, I've seen examples of it gone right and wrong, especially with over or under documentation in something like Slack. Have you created an etiquette? Are you threads people? How do you all do it?
We definitely have etiquette for like certain channels. We had a time when there was just like every single thing was put into like the company general channel, and it was just like no one read anything.
Kind of a sad moment when that general channel
oh my God.
ends, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
it is.
There's got to be a number. I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah, my guess is it's like
What was it at
150
Snap?
or something.
Oh, we didn't have Slack back then.
Oh, yeah.
We were not so lucky.
Yeah.
But we run like everything through Slack. Like if I get in, I don't know, the emails are like the worst way to reach me on earth. And I think like our leadership team is really good at this, of just kind of like being on top of this too. We used to have like a Slack rankings, but we got rid of it, which was basically just like how many messages have you sent back and forth. But I think people were, including myself, were kind of rigging it, so we got rid of it.
You said you don't post a lot, but I feel like you do a good job repeating messaging from the company. Is that a conscious thing?
It's because I'm trying to do it better internally. And so what I've found is the best comms strategy, it's almost impossible to have a different comms strategy internally than you do externally. It's almost impossible, or it seems very, very difficult. And so a lot of our comms...
It's going straight into my deck after this.
One thing that's I think been super helpful is repetition is something I'm bad at. Like I'm just terrible at it. And if I am doing a poor enough job at it internally, there's no way I'm doing a good job of it externally, right? And so I think naturally by improving it internally, I've started doing it more externally, right? And I think your internal is a very good bar where, again, if you are having trouble communicating something internally, like you're screwed trying to do it externally.
And Alex is going to get the leak anyway, so.
Yeah,
exactly.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That stuff I'm very much like, I'm much more, you can say whatever you want with these sort of things. It's like, if competition has your roadmap and you still can't win, like you're screwed.
I want to end kind of looking towards the future. So you are scaling very quickly in all these law firms. Right now it seems very focused on enabling lawyers. Is there ever a world where Harvey AIs are settling cases together? Are you thinking about that right now?
So yeah, the two things that we're thinking about are, this we're thinking about a little bit more, like we do a lot of work with the Singaporean Supreme Court. And one of the things we do there is basically if you are a citizen there, you can file a small claims with Harvey, right? And eventually you could imagine a world where both folks do that, and then it says, here, this is the likely chance of settlement. Would you both agree? And then you go forward, right? So that's something we're like actively exploring. We'll see what happens with that. But if you think like this already happens with arbitration. That's what arbitration is.
I saw this. Did the Arbitration Association, they're doing an AI arbitrator?
They're thinking
I just
about
saw
this. Yeah. I mean, it's basically like it's as long as it's civil, right? Like you both are just allowed to agree to this, right? And so that's how arbitration works. And so I think that's something that we're interested in. I think the other thing that's maybe happening a little bit faster is we're finding that our tool is starting to spread into other verticals that we haven't necessarily built it for, but just because the nature of legal work is similar to things like tax and like compliance. And so a lot of our enterprise customers, they'll use us for legal, and then it just spreads to like their tax and compliance teams, because a lot of the work they do is pretty much exactly the same. They just aren't technically a lawyer.
So new verticals for Harvey.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
I think my main takeaway is that we don't have the Terminator yet, but we do have the Arbitrator.
Exactly, that'd be great. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Winston.
Yeah, of course. Thank you
Appreciate it.
guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks to Winston for coming on the show.
A reminder that we're off for Thanksgiving break. We'll be back the first week of December. We're also a new show, so please follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts. You can also find us in video at Access Pod on YouTube.
If you like this episode, please leave a 5-star review or thumbs up, and please share with all of your lovely lawyer friends.
You can find my newsletter at sources.news.
And you can find me at Hamburger on Twitter and at meaning.company.
Access is part of the Vox Media Podcast Network. Our producer is Shiraz Dumais.
Bye!
Support for the show comes from Mercury. Growing as a business means being able to evolve and adapt with the changing times. So when it comes to finances, you need a partner who can adapt with you and let you do anything with your money. Banking, cards, spend management, invoicing, and more. With Mercury, you can do it all from one place, tailored to you and your business. It's banking at its most intuitive. Trust me, I use Mercury every day to run my business. Visit Mercury.com to join over 200,000 entrepreneurs who use Mercury. Mercury is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided through Choice Financial Group and Column A, members FDIC.
Support for this show comes from Figma and their new AI-powered prompt-to-code tool, Figma Make. It's time to turn your ideas or your Figma designs into interactive code-backed prototypes. With Figma Make, you can do it in minutes. And because it's built on the Figma platform, you can use your team's existing design blocks, making it easy to create outputs that look good, feel real, and represent your brand. Whether you're a designer, product thinker, or founder, Figma Make helps you go from concept to something real fast. Figma Make, a prompt-to-code tool for making ideas real. Try it now at figma.com/access. That's figma.com/access.